What's good, guys? It's your boy Gurns from Mango Masala, Pi Radio's South Asian show, and I'm joined here today by Hira. So, how are you doing, first of all?
What's going on, bro? I'm all right, man. I'm all right. Like we said earlier, just off screen, had one less hour in bed, but we're here, man. We're ready. We're good.
So, first of all, just going back to your actual name. So, obviously, I can see from your Zoom name, I'm presuming, is that so? Here, obviously, I think diamond, right? I think that's what it means.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
how come you went with that for your stage name?
So here is actually my family name. So it's my surname on my dad's side. And yeah, man. I just think over the years I'd had a bunch of other names and tried a few different things, but this one just felt the most authentic and the most natural. And it was a bit of a coming of age, really. It was like the perfect time to choose that name because I was at a point in my kind of music career where I was ready to be a front man and I was ready to just, go full force with an artist project, which I hadn't really done before. I was kind of doing it half-heartedly, but yeah, man. That's the main reason I was born with the name.
Sure, fair enough.
It was just time to embrace it, and I think obviously instead of two E's, I added two threes, and I think that was just mainly down to stylization and Googleability, basically.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So, obviously, I've spoken to you before. I know that you're from Stoke-on-Trent originally.
Yeah, man.
So, how is it Stoke-on-Trent? Because the thing is that my dad actually works Crewe, Nantwich area, so I know it vaguely. And also Stoke-on-Trent, if you don't know, Waterworld. But
yeah,
mind
big
you,
Waterworld.
literally though, actually my younger sister actually broke her hip. You know in the one where you go round and round and drop through.
Yeah.
She came out of that and fell out and broke her hip. So
Oh,
haven't been there since. But
man, that was
still,
Twister. That was Twister, right? I think it's called Twister.
No, that
Yeah.
was sick though.
Big up Waterworld. I don't know if it's shut down at the moment. But yeah, man, Stoke is Stoke. You get me? Looking outside now, it's not so cloudy, bit of sunshine, which isn't normal, I'll be honest. But yeah, man, I mean, growing up here, it's a bit of a weird one. I think, especially when you're a creative, it can be frustrating when you're first kind of coming up. At least at first, I found it difficult because I didn't have really many people around me that were doing the same thing. So it was frustrating to, create, to collaborate. It wasn't really happening. And then it's only now, which is amazing. I know we spoke about this in the last few weeks. There is a couple of new artists coming through. There's a couple of rappers, singers, just musicians in general and creatives. And I think just because of they call it Gen Z, right?
The younger,
Yeah. Because of these lot, we're finally getting kids coming through who want to just be a bit different, do something that's a little bit out of the ordinary, at least for small working class town like this. But I've always said, for all the bad things, it's a half decent place to grow up. It's quiet. And you can just go about your business, and in terms of its location, it's pretty decent as well because we're smack bang in the middle of the UK. So Birmingham, Manchester, even London, it's not that far from us.
So going back to what you were saying just now about Gen Z, so you definitely consider yourself millennial then?
Yeah, 100%. I was born in the 90s, so I think I read somewhere on a thread or a meme, and it was to do with that generation of kids who are the last to play out, but also the first to jump on the internet. I'm kind of I'm not exactly that. I was a little bit after, but I'm kind of with those guys.
I don't know. I feel like it is because we saw we didn't grow up surrounded by technology. It wasn't everyone had phones sort of thing. Whereas kids I think, for example, my youngest sister, who's maybe 5 years younger, I feel that generation actually did for real see they were surrounded by screens from such a young age. So
yeah,
which is like
and all that.
It's weird to think about, but then also like that's probably contributed towards what you were saying about this actual like determination and feeling that I can upload like stuff onto the web. Therefore, even though I'm in somewhere like Stoke-on-Trent, which isn't exactly the best location in terms of like accessibility to music, I can put it online and then people can find me and support me if they want to, sort of thing.
Exactly. And I think that's the most important thing about music, and the best thing about music is that, like, because it's accessible worldwide, especially with the new age of streaming and stuff. Like my kind of most listened to parts of the world, where people listen to me the most. It's just places you just wouldn't believe. Do you know what I mean? So I mean, mainly I think it's the US, and nowhere near, like, Stoke-on-Trent isn't even in like the top 25, which is, I mean, maybe people from Stoke need to start supporting me a bit more, but it's all good, man. I think with me it's a bit different because I'm in between cities anyway. Obviously lockdown, it's put a dampener on things, but usually, like, I'm in London quite a lot. I'm in Manchester and Liverpool, because I got just a circle of kind of collaborators and friends that are in those areas. So I guess my base is here, but when it comes to work and music and whatever, I'm usually just on the move, man. So
sure.
Yeah, but like you say, the streaming age now has just helped to be, it's just marketing within itself. Like it's so easy for you to be heard in every corner of the world. It's just, like taking the right steps to ensure that you are getting out there. So yeah, man, it's been a good couple of months releasing music so far, so I'm not complaining.
What you're saying about like Manchester, Liverpool, London, etc. So do you have any particular artists that you're like rating with or have like collaborated with in the past that you rate? And also, like, outside of that, who would you say like your inspirations are?
Okay, so I think especially with like Manchester is just kind of a home from home. Like I've got a lot of friends that moved there for uni and stuff and just stayed there. And then obviously when we could visit and stuff, we're always there. In terms of music, you must be on to July 7.
July 7, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he released something on.
He dropped a new track called Slow Motion. I think it, and he dropped a sick video to it. But me and July, like, we've kind of been like in touch over the last few years, and I think we're finally getting around to collaborating. Do you know, one of those relationships that's just like really natural, like we've never forced it. We're always keeping each other in the loop, but I think we're both at a point now where we're ready to kind of collaborate, because I think me and him would do some amazing stuff. And then obviously Manchester's got like IMDb, who I've always been on to, and then there's a couple amazing, like, really talented songwriters and stuff as well. Like, I've previously collaborated with Danny from a group called The Six. I don't know if you're onto them. They're like a songwriting group, and there's a dude called Pablo there as well, who's involved with them. And we did some like sessions in the past, like maybe past couple of years, but they're onto really good things. They're like making kind of chart topping music. They've been involved with some really big hits over the past few years, so it was cool to work with them. And then just generally outside of Manchester, there's Liverpool. I've got a few good friends, really. The Mike Lowry boys, Hazard, who's a producer who just produced my most recent single, Complicated, and then an artist called Raheem, who's who's really good as well. And they're my mates, really. So and then London's always good to go to, because you meet so many new people. I've been good friends with Emanike for a long time, and I'm sure you're on to
really.
Since we were like teenagers, man. So obviously you've seen what he's gone on to do, and we've actually got a lot of music that we've done together, but it's just never come out. So
that's mad.
Yeah, man.
Now, because honestly, like, Emanike is probably one of like a personal inspiration of mine, just because I can see how much they're able to like perfect their craft, and like just like how much, like, and I think it's nice as well to see someone who's not only behind the scenes, like they're also like you can put a face to the name sort of thing. Like they've done so much outside of that, and just in general, big fan.
Exactly, like his pen is unbelievable. Obviously he's been involved in some of the greatest hits over the past probably decade. The guy's been going since he was out of the womb, man. It's crazy. And his artist project is brilliant as well. And I feel it's slightly underrated, if I'm being totally honest. I don't think his artist project has really reached the heights that we would have all liked to have seen it achieve. But I mean, it's still early days for him, considering, you know, he's got a long few years ahead of him. And as a songwriter, I feel like he'll be doing it until the end. So, you know, fantastic talent, and brilliant guy as well. Like, really sick guy, man. He's a top guy.
Obviously, you've talked just now about like a lot of people who you're like friends with or collaborated with. And would you say that you get your inspiration from them, or do you get your inspiration from like platinum artists, like worldwide sort of thing?
Do you know what, man? Like, especially with when lockdown happened last year, I kind of went into this weird zone of not listening to music but creating a lot. And that was a strange period for me, because I was really like, I wasn't being inspired by anything. I was just going with what felt right. Do you know what I mean? So I've kind of continued with that, really. And it's strange because like my mates think I'm weird, because like I don't have like a Spotify Pro account. I don't have a I only use SoundCloud, which is so weird, but I don't really listen to music like that, and at least not anymore. But if I was to pick my influences, I think just naturally over the years, one of my biggest, or my favorite artist at least, one of my favorite artists is Justin Timberlake. And then another one like Frank Ocean, but I guess like I love him for his writing ability. And then I would say they're like the main two that stick out right now, but I'm constantly like being inspired by anything. It doesn't have to be, you know, like a multi-platinum artist, and it doesn't have to be someone who I collaborate with. It's just a natural thing. You can find music wherever these days, like we mentioned. So I just try to keep it moving, man. Who else is there? Like, I'm really into kind of the Toronto sound. You know, like the dark kind of wave rap R&B sort of thing, like The Weeknd, Drake, Party Next Door. That's probably my favorite bag in terms of like where I want to be as an artist, I would say. Because I can see myself like being in that world. I feel like I thrive the most in that world. And there's also artists like Zayn, again, who's kind of like, I feel like if he wasn't in one direction, I feel like he would definitely be associated with that kind of caliber of artist, the kind of, because considering the music that he makes, for me, it's very in line with what I want to do anyway. So, and what I am doing really, especially the stuff that hasn't come out yet, it's very, very similar. But yeah, I'd say they're the kind of main guys that are in rotation when music's on. So yeah.
Do you feel like Zayn is like semi underrated then?
Massively, I think. It's one of them though, innit? Because on one hand, you can't say he's underrated, because it's like, well, you just kind of look at what he's done over his career. But then on the other hand, it's like, it's all on perception really. Because if you look at Harry, for example, you would say that his solo career has been unbelievable, right? But I feel like Zayn just because he has a different brand of music, I just feel, I'm not saying there's a ceiling on that or whatever, but I just feel like it's kind of within its own lane, like it's supposed to be doing what it's doing, in my opinion. But don't get me wrong, like he's had the hits, so it's like that's perfect, right? Because in a way, it's kind of niche, but it's not really. But it's like it's still got scope to be successful worldwide. So I'm sure he's all right. I'm sure he's not short for money or anything.
Exactly. But now, like personally, like again, like this is me being Zayn's manager, but like, I feel like he doesn't really do enough promo. Like I just feel like he just like maybe his first album, like there was a bit of a build towards that, but his second album, Icarus Falls, like I literally like didn't even know that I'd dropped. I was like, oh, there's like 28 songs here like to listen to.
Yeah.
And then his most recent one that he's dropped as well, like, I don't know, he does like, I just feel like he doesn't like open up maybe enough. And I don't know, I respect that's his decision and everything. But I feel like maybe he would need to have got to a certain level of esteemed stardom before he started being like, yeah, I don't want to do any interviews, I don't want to do this, that, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I just feel
No.
like I feel like if you don't know he's releasing stuff, then like,
then you wouldn't know. I feel like, because I don't see it. I'm slightly biased because I feel like because I'm up to date on his socials and everything, like I'm seeing it. But I have heard a lot of people say that about him, and I don't know what it is, man. Because he signed to RCA, which is a Sony label, and like they have some of the world's biggest artists. Zayn quite clearly is a priority artist. So for me, it's like I don't know, are they running out of ideas, or is it just that he doesn't want to do that kind of thing? Obviously, interviews and whatnot are few and far between these days anyway. But in terms of the marketing, yeah, you're right. Like I haven't really seen like much of the new album, especially. But it was a bit weird, the new album, man. I'm not gonna lie. It had like Devlin on there, and I was like, why is Devlin on the Zayn album? Like, but love Devlin.
Yeah. Personally, I rated the most recent album more than Icarus Falls. Yeah, I felt like it was the last one. It was just too much. Like I just felt there was like too much there, and
a lot to consume.
Yeah,
definitely.
A lot to
consume. No, I agree. I feel like this latest one though, it's sick, man. And to be fair, like going back to my stuff, it actually has like I sat down with this album, so it kind of made me, figure out like, oh, I can be inspired by this. This is a cool song. This, that, the other. But yeah, man, like I think, like you said, I don't think. But is he at that level? I'm not sure, because you look at like artists like The Weeknd, that guy can do whatever, man, and just ghost for like the rest of the year. But like, at the same time, his promo game's like ridiculous, but it's not him doing it; it's the team around him, I guess.
I feel like in this day and age, it's like quite unpredictable. Like I was literally talking about this yesterday about how much TikTok like decides what goes viral, and we just like talking about it. And it's like realizing that you can't tune your song to do that. Like there's no knowing whether your song is going to go viral on TikTok. Like it is just chance. So exactly. It's kind of nice, but it's kind of like it's hard to play the game.
See, I feel like I'm getting slightly old now, because I've always been that guy to kind of evolve with the times. Like you've got to, especially in an industry like music, like whether it's the social media platforms or whatever, like you've got to do it, because otherwise you're just not going to be moving forward like everyone else. And when TikTok came around, I thought, yeah, cool little trend, like when it first happened last year. Obviously I engaged with it and I watched TikToks. I got TikTok, but then obviously when we had the plan to like start releasing music this year, my manager was just on to me to like jump on TikTok, and I was like, yeah, bro, I'll do it. Like, yeah. And then it just took me ages to figure out how I can like apply myself to this app and like what I can bring to it, because it's like the whole point of me being on there is for like to potentially for a song to go viral. I don't know, create a challenge, and that's difficult in itself as it is as an artist who's just pretty much starting out. So that being said, I was trying to figure out different ways of engaging like a new audience, and with the scope for it to be viral or whatnot, because we're in that age of virality or whatever. So yeah, man, I've just found it a slog, to be honest. I'm not much for TikTok. I'll just say it. I'll put it out there. I'm not much for it. I understand it, and you probably will see videos from me there in the future, but just know I'm not enjoying it.
Yeah.
Nah, it's one of them. Like I do like video covers and stuff, so I guess I can put them up on there, and that makes sense. And maybe a few things now and then with me coming out my shell slightly, because going back to like Zayn and The Weeknd and people like that in the way that they are as people, I would imagine that's kind of just how I am, in the sense that like I just like putting music out and just kind of taking a back seat. And I know that that's not necessarily the way forward these days, but that's just kind of like how I am as a person. My circle's small. I don't like mess around with too many people. Just kind of do what I do in silence, So
yeah.
But TikTok, man, I get it. It's cool, but you know, we'll see.
I think I've kind of realized that it's what you make it. And I think like, as long as you can just do whatever you want. And yes, it might go viral, it might not, but there's at the end of the day, there's so many people uploading so many videos all at once that as long as you like stick to your lane, I think it's all right.
At the end of the day, you are your brand or whatever. And it's like, especially as a musician, kind of just do whatever you're sort of comfortable with doing, I think, because everyone kind of brings a different flavor to TikTok. And there's always new innovative like ideas and stuff, and new kind of people doing different sort of things and things that you never thought that you'd ever see. Like I love those life hack people, or like those accounts that are like how to make money in like 2 hours or something like, and I'm always watching them. I am. So like my algorithm on there is just literally like life hacks and making money.
Yeah, it's just interesting stuff.
And I know like, you know, the younger generation, especially Gen Z, going back to them guys, like, man, they're all over this stuff, man. It's crazy. Like all my little cousins and stuff, like they're with their tablets and whatever and the rest of it. I sound like one of those old people now, innit? Like the sad reality is I'm not old at all, but yeah,
feel
man,
it
like,
though.
I feel it, bro. Like I feel it, man. And what can I say?
Or maybe you need to like release an album of like life hack music or something. Like
yeah,
build it around that.
Idea. That's a good idea. Well, considering I'm releasing every 2 weeks for the rest of the year, I feel like I might need some fresh ideas. So there's one, There's one.
But wait, rewind every 2 weeks the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I've put it in my bio, but I feel like no one's really clocked. I've put it across my socials, and basically that was the plan for this year, because we know how kind of Spotify and streaming centric this kind of game is now. So it's like, but it's all about algorithms and all this nonsense, right? So to please the algorithm, and considering, because I'm a songwriter and producer as well, and we'd obviously pitched countless demos, so many big artists, and we'd had so many big artists cut our songs and never put them out. And it's just exhausting, man. Like, it's really exhausting. It's like, when are you going to catch your break at a certain point? But, you know, you just got to keep cracking on. So I realized last year, I was like, I've got so many demos on this hard drive and the world is never going to hear them. So I was like, sat down with my manager, Eddie, and we were just like, let's just figure out a strategy. And we was like, you've got so many. Let's just do it this kind of the Russ strategy. I don't know if you're onto that, but the American rapper Russ, obviously, at some point in his career before he kind of got big, he was releasing like a song every week for like a whole year. Now that's quite with it. That's outside of my means. I can't do that. But I thought the next best thing was do a song every 2 weeks, and then like kind of packaged. Because the thing is, for me, it's important that, okay, in today's day and age, a lot of artists are dropping singles, and I get that, because especially the newer artists, there's not really much point putting out a project, because it's like, who's going to listen to it, sort of thing, especially without kind of doing the build up to it and whatnot. So for me, it was like, okay, I want to be a project artist long term. I feel like all the best artists in the world make projects. So I was like, let me drop a certain amount, let me drop X amount of songs that are sonically kind of within the same world, similar. And then once they're out, we'll just package it kind of as a project and kind of push it once more and put it out there as a body of work, so people can actually see how each individual piece of the jigsaw as such fits together. And that's the most important thing to me, because I've dropped 6 singles now since January 15th. And we've just like touched, what are we, mid-March now? So I've dropped 6 singles, and then alone they all sound great on their own or whatever, but when they're packaged together in the order that they're supposed to be in, if you listen to those, like, it just changes the experience completely. And I think that was really the goal for this year. So yeah, man, lots and lots of music.
That's obviously what you've done in terms of this Virgo EP. So I think I saw in your story yesterday, 9th of April, right?
9th of April, yeah.
So is that going to be the 6 singles you already released again as a unit? Just no other songs, just those 6, right?
No, we were thinking about kind of maybe putting in a bonus song or something. But I think the main reason for it is just to, like, yeah, basically package it with new artwork and stuff, and kind of really kind of unveil like the Hero project, because I feel like a lot of people will hear the music kind of passively, but a lot of the time, if people see a project for whatever reason, they might be more inclined to just, you know, listen to the whole thing like that. I know that kind of contradicts what I was saying about like releasing singles and whatnot, but I just feel like if they've been watching passively and they might see the package, they might be like, okay, let's actually like dive into it now, because that's how I am. I don't really listen to the singles when they drop like a big album or a mixtape or whatever it may be. Then I'm tuned in. Do you know what I mean? So maybe that's just my thinking, but either way, like I want to put it out as body work, because that's who I want to be as an artist. And you know, I know it's kind of like you're giving people something that they've already had anyway, but it's just more of a case of packaging it and you know, just having it there and letting it breathe as well, because obviously doing a song every 2 weeks, it can get exhausting. So it's like, don't want to keep dropping singles every 2 weeks and then kind of 1 week it's this from this EP and then 2 weeks later it's from the next batch. So it's like, it's important to break it up in between. And that's why from the last single, Complicated, on April, is it 9th? It is the 9th. On April 9th, we'll just drop the project with the artwork, etc., and just create the conversation around that, and really encourage people to get back into project listening. I think that's my main goal anyway, because it's like, we spend so many hours as musicians and writers and producers, we spend so much time on these things, and we're creating with this kind of thing in mind, with the project in mind, and the way it should flow and the way it sounds sonically, and just everything from the details, from like the transitions at the end of the song into the next song. Like you'll find on this project, it's glued together like that. And I spent a stupid amount of time perfecting it, and I just want people to kind of share the same enthusiasm that I have for projects like that. So yeah, man, that's the main goal. But we'll see if it works. Probably won't, because people are consuming quick these days. But you know, that's just who I am. So.
But no, I think like with regards to these 6 singles, obviously like Complicated, the Anecdote, in This Room, Intimate, Say, I Don't Mind, like I wouldn't say any of them are like necessarily fillers. I think because you've done like 6, obviously, as it's more of an EP, I think that is more of a, even if we're not thinking about being strategic, like that is automatically more people are going to like actually continue listening to that, because I think they're all like a similar vibe, but I wouldn't say you get like bored listening to them. They're all similar enough, but also different enough that you wouldn't be like, oh, this is just the same thing over again. Because some artists kind of like do part of music and you're just like, this literally sounds exactly the same as the last thing you put out.
The formula.
Yeah. But those 6 singles, so can you give us like an exclusive on like what order they're meant to be in, or do you have to wait till the 9th to know that?
Nah, I mean, like I'm not that what's the word, man? I'm generous in it, so
thank you.
But like, wait, you know what? I can't even remember the order. I think it goes In This Room, Intimate, I Don't Mind, Virgo, Short Anecdote, and then Say and Complicated. I think that makes the most sense. I know me and Eddie, my manager, we spent a while kind of figuring it out. He was like, I think this should go here, this should go here. But I was like, this is what I set out on from the start. So yeah, I think that order makes the most sense, and you'll hear it like when it's transitioning. It really does seamlessly flow, in my opinion. So you know, I'm really happy with the way it's turned out. And going back to what you said with regards to like, you know, the formula and artists kind of sounding the same, I think it was a point that I've always tried to make, is that like you want to give people familiarity, because that's the most important thing as an artist. Like you need a brand or a sound as such, but you want to keep it fresh every single time, because otherwise people will just kind of pigeonhole you into a category that you might not necessarily want to be in. So it's like, my thing is R&B and other. That's what I call it, because it's like the basis of it is R&B, and it always will be, because that's who I am and that's what I grew up on. But like Say and Complicated, they're more kind of like, they're Afro inspired and elements of like dancehall.
I got a bit of like trap from some of them as well.
Yeah. So like, I don't mind as well, especially that's just like a straight out banger. And then in this room is more of like, it's kind of a modern take on like old school R&B really. Because I feel like, especially with the guitars in that song, like just the progression that they're playing, it's like it feels nostalgic. And then you've got the mix of like the kind of old school but new school drums as well. There's just a mishmash of like so many different influences and time eras. And that's just reflective of what I listened to growing up and who I was inspired by, who my influences were like as producers, writers, you know. So yeah, man, I think that's it.
I think one thing that's like quite signature to your sound is probably like your falsetto. And like I have to say, like doing this interview now, I was fully expecting your voice to like be a bit higher, but like you're full on like quite low. I was literally like, how is this like working? Like
proper northern lad.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like how do you manage like to do that?
I'll tell you something quite interesting now, basically. So I only really started singing. What are we? So we're 21. Honestly, I can say I got comfortable with my voice around 2017, 2018. So it wasn't even that long ago. It was like 3 or 4 years ago where I was like, okay, cool, I'm a singer now. But prior to that, it was like a case of, because I was coming out as a writer and producer first and foremost, I was writing songs for other people and whatnot. And it was kind of, I would demo them obviously, but like, you don't care what your demo sounds like, as long as you can get across the feeling and the idea, you don't care. But eventually you start realizing like because it's a muscle, just like everything else, like if you exercise it, like naturally it just gets better, bigger and whatnot. So funnily enough, the falsetto was kind of, it was like the strongest element of my voice when I first started out anyway. And I don't know why, because I really actually struggle as a vocalist with my kind of lower register, especially when you're kind of, you know, elongated notes and whatnot. Like the lower register for whatever reason isn't like my strongest. And it's kind of like the mid register is what it is, but the falsetto just really shines through. And I feel like it's because not many people can do it. And like when I listen to like some of my favorite artists, whether it's a conscious decision to make sure that on every record they're within similar registers, so it's like familiarity for the listener, I don't know if that's a conscious decision. But I've noticed that not many people, especially male vocalists, I don't hear it very much. I know going back to like Zayn has a really good falsetto. The Weeknd just has an amazing dreamy voice as it is. But there's not many male vocalists. Like, for example, I love Bryson Tiller, but I know what I'm going to hear before I click on hearing his song. Do you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, it's true actually, because like he's got quite like a high register, but I don't think I've ever heard him go into his head voice or like falsetto.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I just think maybe it's a case of people aren't confident enough with it, or maybe it's just like it just doesn't sound good. Because I mean, yeah, you can hit a high note, but it doesn't sound good, because like that's the thing, and that's the balance you have to find with it. Because I'm glad you've picked up on the falsetto. Like it actually means a lot, because obviously I took my time on it, but there's a time and place for it, I think, is basically what I'm trying to say. Because like when you hear it too much, you're just kind of like, falsetto again, okay, because it's not necessarily the only thing that I can do. But I just feel like, you know, if the feeling's correct on the particular song that you're working on, or then totally go for it. In this room though, in particular, that was kind of, I'd say it was kind of an accident, because really I was going into that chorus like, just when I was demoing it, I wasn't doing it falsetto. But you always test it, because it makes for a way more powerful chorus if it's done correctly. And I was making sure, because of the key that it was in, if I was at the top of that range, if I was going to be able to hit it, because an octave lower, much easier. An octave higher, bit of a different story. So, you know, a lot of takes for that. That's all I can say.
But I'm just thinking, like, if you had like done that, like, because the thing about In This Room, which is really good, is that it is this kind of upwards trajectory, like starts of the verses low, pre-chorus is like literally going up, and then the chorus is all like in a high register. If you'd done that and then the chorus gone back down, I feel like that literally wouldn't have had the same effect. So it's definitely like good that you were able to do that, I feel.
Yeah, definitely. And it, like you say, it does kind of grow as a song goes on, especially with like more backing vocals and things like that. The second pre has like a really nice kind of quiet thing if you listen closely, which I was really proud of because it took me ages. But I love little details like that. And then on the kind of the second chorus, I have an ad lib where I go into the chorus where it's like it's the same octave as the chorus, but it's my chest voice, and I had to do so many takes for that. It's only a slight detail, but I wanted to see if I could push it. Thankfully, I didn't injure myself or anything. But yeah, it was mad trying to get up there. But again, it just all makes for, you know, a good song, man. And that's the thing. I'm big on attention to detail. Like I've always been like that. Maybe it's because I've got OCD somewhat. I don't know, but like that's I'm massive on it in anything. It could be music, it could be like the videos that we're making for the songs, and just anything in general. Like it needs to be A1, and like at the end of the day you're spending time on it, so why not take the time to iron out the things that make it better or whatever.
I was going to call into the videos actually. So like obviously you put out 2 for this EP, and I think in line with the artwork as well, there's this overarching theme of quite like psychedelic colors sort of thing. Is there any particular reason for that? Or is it just because it like kind of fits with it?
I think just naturally, I think I've just kind of always been into that kind of stuff, because I actually did graphic design at college, and I was going to go and study it at uni. But then I ended up deferring and then jumping onto music, so that's a different story. But because I've kind of always had this affinity for good artwork and just stuff that is just it's provocative, you know, it's not really something that you see, especially in the UK. I feel like, and this is no shade on anyone, but I'm seeing like, I don't know why I'm seeing so many artworks with cartoon versions of the artist. I don't know if you're onto that, if you've seen
that, like now you mention it.
And like, don't get me wrong, like it was great, but like I'm seeing it a lot, and I'm just like, do you guys all go to the same designer or what? So for me, it was like, I want to just like, because the artwork for me is mad important, man. Like I spend time, because I actually like, I do it all myself. So like I spend time on that, and I want it to look visually a certain way. So I'm glad that you picked up on it. And the videos, yeah, they have to kind of somewhat be in line with that. And I think it's just mainly down to, it is personal preference and personal taste, but at the same time, yeah, I just love weird, trippy stuff, man. And I think it does go well with the music. I think at least, especially the more kind of darker cuts, and like, you know, with the In This Room video, shouts out to New Body, the guys who directed it and edited it. Like they just kind of captured exactly, you know, what I wanted to do, because that's how kind of far deep I'm involved with like the process, because I go to people with treatments. Like I don't ask them for it. I already write what I want in the video, and it's there. And I think that's just, you kind of got to be, it's almost like your project is like a whole cinematic experience. That's how I see it. Like it's got to be firing from all cylinders and all aspects. And that's kind of, I think I'll be like that till you know, till I stop making music. So yeah, man. Yeah.
So like, say obviously the video for that was, I want to say like simplistic. I think simplistic in the sense that it's all like kind of in the same room, but obviously it's more like the added effects and the colors and the transitions, etc. That's kind of making it like just a general like kind of like trippy experience sort of thing.
Yeah.
But then we come to In This Room, and that is definitely like watching that, I could tell like not even just like what was happening, but also like the editing as well, like to the beat of the music sort of thing. You could definitely tell what's going on. And I think I also wanted to discuss as well, obviously in this room, things get a bit heated and like in the song as well. And I wanted to like talk about that as well, because I think when we first played in this room on Mango Masala, it was alongside I think Sam and Prit. I don't know if you know them, but they'd released a song called Smoke and Mirrors, and that was also like kind of like a slow jam sort of thing. And listening to your music in general, it is very sexually open, like very promiscuous, like sort of thing, like not like saying it as it is. And I just wanted to know what your thoughts were on that and how that's been, obviously, as a South Asian artist. Like, first of all, if you don't mind me asking, like, what is your ethnic background?
So I'm Punjabi predominantly, and then we have on my mother's side some ancestry in the Middle East. So
sure,
yeah.
But yeah, like obviously doing what you've been doing, like great music, obviously good content, and this day and age, everyone is like, it's fine with that. But how has it been, obviously, making this type of music coming from a South Asian background?
I think, yeah, like at first when I thought about it, like I did have my reservations about being so open. But you see, like, especially in particular with my parents and my family, like, you know, we're really kind of just laid back people in general, regardless of creed and whatnot, and caste and race and religion and what and the rest of it, you know. So with that being said, and family being so forward thinking themselves, like, I just didn't really see it as an issue. I think with Hero, with the project, like the whole point of me doing it and me going by a name that is obviously close to my heart, and I was just like, well, you just got to be yourself, because the stuff I'm saying in songs, like, okay, it might be kind of romanticized slightly and it might be stylized to fit, you know, themes of a song, but a lot of it is just the way I am. Like, you know, I don't say stuff in there that doesn't happen. Do you know what I mean? So it's like it's just a true reflection of who I am. And I thought at the same time, a lot of it will be inspired by others and artists that I am fond of. But at the same time, like, I call it pleasure center music in it, and I think that's probably the best way to describe it. It's very sexually open and very sexually charged. I mean, you know, you try to find a nice balance, because I don't want to be one of those guys who's just talking about sex all the time or drugs or all these different things, because I feel like my music and kind of who I am as a writer in general is just like so far beyond that as it is. But at the same time, it goes back to that, you know, the familiarity and kind of and stamping your brand really, and kind of establishing, you know, what you're gonna be kind of talking about for the years to come. And I think throughout the 6 songs, I think there's a good kind of balance of just kind of different subject matter. I think Virgo, the short anecdote, I think that's a real kind of, that was almost a freestyle when I was doing it, and I feel like that comes across because it's just it's almost the way it is rhythmically. It's kind of like a rapper would do it, and the rhyme scheme and the cadence or whatnot. But that song there in particular, I think that song kind of embodies all those different things. It has the content, it has the kind of sexual stuff, it has this really like endearing part towards the end of it where it's like, oh, dude's sad. Do you know what I mean? So I just want to be provocative, and I want to create feeling and evoke emotion. That's the most important thing, whether it is sexually charged, whether it is this, that, the other, you know. And I think at the end of the day, music is about a feeling, and that's all I want to create, you know.
No, I think like with like, for example, I'd say probably In This Room is maybe like the most out there song, like
explicit,
in regards
100.
Yeah, but even then, it's not like, I mean, obviously people want to do that. It's up to them, like in terms of if they want to be like quite explicit throughout the whole thing. But it's kind of like you kind of push the boundaries. You kind of like drop it in here and there. And I think especially in line with the video, but there's nothing that's like, it's not like really extreme. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like that's nice. It's kind of, it's like pushing the boundaries, but not like overdoing it. So I think it's like, it's nice to like see that like balance sort of thing.
And that's important, especially like not overdoing it. I feel, at least anyway, because then, I mean, my mum can't listen to my music then, can she? But it's one of them, like I do clock them listening to it now and then, you know, because
Really?
the thing is, I should never have told her I was releasing music this regularly, because I'm very, people don't believe me when I say it, but as an artist and as a person, I'm quite closed. So it's like, this is just for me, really. Okay, I want to be an artist and I'm putting it out there, which kind of contradicts what I'm saying, but it's like, I'm just putting it out there for people to just have a piece of me, basically. And it's like, I walked in the house one night and I heard in this room as I come in, and then I heard my mum whisper to my dad, and she was like, turn it off. I was like, I made it clear that I was like, yo, you two can listen to my music as much as you want, just I don't want to be there for it, because it's just, it makes me cringe slightly, and I don't know why that is. It's just like, it's strange because it's such an intimate thing, because these are things that they're thoughts from your mind that make their way through a computer and they get recorded, and then it's just kind of where I'm sitting now. It's kind of where I do all my stuff, man, and it's just a room in my house. So it's like, it's so strange that to think that this is finalized as something that travels all the way across the world, and you know, yeah,
in this room.
Yeah, in this room, exactly. In this room. So yeah, in this room, this is where the magic happens. It's where In This Room was made. And yeah, man, it's just one of those things that, like, I love talking about music if people are asking me about it and stuff, especially like in these instances. But yeah, man, if people like kind of, if I hear my music unexpectedly, I'm like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? I think it's just going to take getting some used to and stuff. But yeah, man, it's all part and parcel.
So from the Virgo EP, would you say you have a favorite track from that?
Oh, yeah, I know everyone, it's dead cliche, but I'd probably say I love them equally. But I think the song that I couldn't stop playing is In This Room, I think. But I love Virgo, the short anecdote for it's just so stripped back, and it sounds like it's from the 60s. So that's kind of, I think that those two, I think they embody kind of the sound that I want to take going forward, you know. But again, like, Say and Complicated, they are very important to me as well, just because it's the dance factor too, you know. Like, you know, everyone loves having a good time, and even though I feel like this EP, in the majority of it, is, it's kind of a darker wave, but there's lighter shades in between. I would say, at least, I think it was important to have those songs in there, because even though Say, a lot of people would say to me that Say was more of a summer song, but I actually don't hear it that way. I hear it as like colder winter kind of, even though it's dancier, I just hear it more a darker sort of song for whatever reason. And the same with Complicated, even though it does have the summer factor. Like, I guess it's because they were made in the kind of colder winter, darker months. So maybe that's what it is. But yeah, I think every song serves its purpose, and I think every song needs to be exactly where it is. Yeah, man.
Going back to before, you talked a bit about how music isn't like making that much at the moment, just because obviously like lockdown and that. So like, how has the whole experience been, obviously throughout lockdown as a musician, and also releasing the entirety of this EP whilst we're in lockdown as well?
I think it's been challenging, but it's been emotionally and mentally challenging more than anything. It's not really been a case of not being able to create the music physically, but sometimes there was times where you were completely lacking inspiration. But that kind of came for me later on, especially last year. At first, I was firing, like I couldn't stop making music. But as time kind of went on and you kind of settled into what was actually going on, and you're like realizing, you're looking around, you're like, yo, I haven't gone and seen my mates in so long. I haven't been for a beer with the lads down the pub or whatever it may be. You're kind of just like, wow, this is life now. So but I had such a backlog of music as it is, like I wasn't kind of worrying too much. So I just created as and when after that point. And I was just like, whenever I'm inspired, I'll create. And that's kind of the sentiment that I took forward, especially this year, you know, like, because I've got so much stuff and I'm prepared, and I feel like that's the most important thing, and that's what kind of separates this year from all the other years that I've been doing this or whatnot. Like, now I'm prepared, so when the opportunity arises, you know, I've got all the music there and everything's ready to go. So yeah, like, and as for now, I'm actually, at the moment, I've just had a little bit of breathing time, to be honest, because the second EP is ready to go, and the third EP is almost ready to go. So it's just rolling that out. We're ready, man. We're serious this year, you know what I mean? So I just really wanted to set the tone for kind of independent artists, because it's like, yeah, you'll go far to find someone who's working harder than me this year. I'll tell you that now. So it's, I just wanted to really make a bold statement. I feel like this was probably the best way to do it. Might be, some might call it overkill, but at the end of the day, you know, it's like, I keep going back to Russ, but he was such a great person to be inspired by when coming up with this. It was like, he's like, no one even knows who you are, so why do you care about oversaturation and stuff like that? And it's like, you know what? That's so true. Obviously, I've got a little modest following, but it's like, you're right. And even we mentioned like someone like Zayn is underrated. So it's like, you know, even there, everything's proportionate, you know what I mean? And it's just like pushing the boundaries, and yeah, man, that's what I'm trying to do this year.
So in regards to like the EP name, was there any particular reason why you decided to call it Virgo?
I think, again, going back to really embracing myself with this new project with Hera and everything, Virgo is my star sign. So and again, like, astrology, it's controversial. Some people are into it, some people aren't.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what's your feelings on it in general?
Can't be saying that I hate it if I'm dropping
literally, you put out a Virgo EP and like, nah, it's all rubbish.
It's rubbish. I watched a funny JME meme yesterday, and he was like, "You're a donut.
You're a donut. You're so stupid."
I think, look, logic would tell me that it's a load of nonsense, but I feel like when I spoke earlier about stylizing and romanticizing certain subject matter, and I feel like that's the kind of aim with this. It's like it's heightening all these kind of characteristics and traits of a star sign, and kind of piecing together a narrative which is showing a character almost, and going through these times with the personal traits that they have, maybe down to the star sign, maybe not, but yeah, I just feel like it's quite a nice, because it's pseudo scientific, it almost feels like it could be in a fantasy kind of film or something. So it's like, that was my thinking with it. It was like taking it, romanticizing it, making it kind of bigger than what it is, and just, yeah, like hoping that shines through each song. And again, it kind of links back to what we said about the subject matter, and, you know, how things are quite sexual, quite candid, quite blunt. Like, yeah, I just think that's all those things, I think, kind of embody what a Virgo is supposed to be like. And I'm taking that forward, and I just ran with it. I thought it was a cool thing, and off the back of this, the second EP is also going to be kind of linked to this one. I won't say too much just yet.
Before you explained about Virgo, I was going to say also, is the next EP going to be like the Gemini EP and then the Libra EP, or is this like the last star sign one?
Yeah, so this is the first and last star sign one, I would say. It's just an introduction to, again, Hera and the character, because this is another thing that I want to kind of make a point of. A lot of consumers, or people who just kind of like passively listen to music, they will kind of like take an artist that they listen to, and they'll just kind of be like, this artist is who they are in real life, sort of thing, and this is who they are. Whereas me, it's more of like a chance to, like, who I truly am as a person isn't necessarily Hera. It's like, it's almost like my alter ego sort of thing. And don't get me wrong, the content and the things that I talk about, they are inspired by real life events. But at the same time, it's establishing a kind of a brand, and I think that's important. So I would like to, like I said, it's kind of like being a character. It's kind of like being a movie character, and that to me, it gives me a proper buzz. So yeah, that's basically the plan. Hopefully, people will kind of separate the two, because I can't be having people on the street saying, "Oh, you're bad, you're bad," talking about bad stuff. You can imagine in the community and that, like some aunties coming up being like, "Oh, her son's talking about this, that, the other." Do you know what I mean? It's like, come on, man. It's not like real, really. Like, but it's funny, man. It's funny the way things are.
Coming to the end of the interview now, I was going to ask you for plans post Virgo, but obviously you said about how literally you've already got second and third EP in the pipeline already.
Yeah.
So to finish with, I just want to ask, like, what are you most looking forward to doing if, fingers crossed, all goes well, 21st of June? What's the first thing that you want to do?
Well, yeah, good question, man. I think first and foremost, sinking a cold one, that would be good. A big pint. I think
you can do that soon. Actually, is it 12th of April?
12th of April.
Yeah.
And because obviously I play pub football on a Sunday. Like football was like, I know it's cliche, but it's like my first love. So I was a big football guy at first, and then obviously kind of fell down the ladder somewhere and then ended up playing
your knee injury.
No, well, actually, this is the thing. To be fair, not long ago, I tore my ACL in my right leg, and then prior to that, 14 months before that, I tore the other ACL in the other leg. So I just think my body's just telling me that it's not for football anymore. But like, yeah, I played at quite a decent level when I was younger. Had a few trials at professional clubs and whatnot, and then just ended up playing pub football with the lads. So it's just like a group of mates, and then we all go down to the pub afterwards, and then have a drink and have a laugh. And I think April the 12th, I think it is. I think that's what I'm looking forward to most, just to being around my friends.
Sure.
Because I've had enough of my family now. No, I'm joking. But yeah, man, I think just because it's so strange, man, like to think where we were before lockdown and stuff, like the way you interact with people and stuff, and it's just kind of like that's been stripped away from us now, man. So I'm just ready to actually socialize, and I hope that everyone's still got the social skills. Otherwise, it's gonna be very awkward.
This is the thing. Like, I feel like they've said that even when we're allowed to do things normally again, there's going to be almost this built-in resistance inside us to not do that. So it's going to take a while to actually.
Yeah, man. I think that's naturally going to be there, isn't it? And but I'm a big mask fan. I won't lie. I feel like those days that you're just having a bad day, you don't look very good, and you need to go do something, be in public. You just whack a mask on. It's all good, man. And I feel like now it's been normalized.
Yeah.
Catch me in a mask.
You know I think this is this thing, like, I feel like before COVID, obviously you always used to have all those like East Asian students would come across, and they'd like be wearing the masks all the time, and we'd always be like, what are you doing? Why are you wearing that? And now look at this, it's been proven completely wrong. Exactly. I think a lot of people have been said as well, like they've actually avoided getting like other illnesses through wearing them. So obviously like just not getting flu or anything. So
exactly.
I think the only thing is with just like facial hair, it sometimes can get a bit like sweaty and that. I suppose it's a good excuse to cover up, I suppose. Like
no, exactly. Like I just feel like, and plus like, when you want to roll somewhere that you don't really want to be recognized, like, and I don't mean to say like I'm not a celebrity by any stretch. I just mean like if you don't want to talk to people, because some days like you have days like that in it, and when you don't want to talk to somebody, like you got your mask on, if they don't recognize you, you're all good, aren't you? So it's just like, yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm a big mask fan, and yeah, I think there's a few positives that we can definitely take from this whole weird period of time, and like you say, there will be that natural resistance. I'm sure we'll get back to normality with the years to come, but to be honest, like I'm happy that there's some form of resistance, because like I'm seeing life so differently now. You won't catch me touching door handles or nothing. Like I ain't even getting close to people. Like but obviously naturally I'm sure we'll fall back into how everything was before, but Yeah.
It's just like simple things. Like I feel like as bad as it sounds, like we didn't like used to like every time we come in from inside, like washing our hands and stuff like that. You kind of just like like it's something you should do, but you maybe don't do, and now it's just like, well, why weren't we doing that? Like,
that's the thing. I even change my clothes when I come into the house, and I mean, I think my mum's NHS, and my dad is shielding essentially. So it's like we're super on job. So maybe a little bit more than maybe we should be, but again, you can't take too many precautions. So it's just like do your thing. Surfaces constantly wiped. Like the best thing is the food shop, and this is what I mean with when I said like, well, it's good that we're taking certain things from this period of time, because when you think about it, when you go to the supermarket, you do your food shop, and you come back home, like when you think about just bunging your stuff in the fridge now without like wiping it down, you're just like, why did we ever do that? You know what I mean? Because it makes total sense that like you're in a supermarket and it's like, you don't know what's flying around there. So many people touching so many different items, and you just used to come home and just whack it in the fridge. But now it's like, why didn't we do that before? Why didn't we wipe it down before? Do you know what I mean? So that's how I see things anyway. I think people might have different opinion, but yeah, man, I think that's a good thing. So I'd definitely be continuing to do that. You know,
any desire in your part, like in terms of like live performing, and again, like in terms of like putting maybe like performing the Virgo EP like for an actual audience sort of thing?
Yeah, in the sense of what in the times that we are, or just like moving forward, like when we get
as in like like a desire to do that like once we're able to.
Yeah. Well, I think that's another thing that I have to get comfortable with in the sense of being an artist, because like as I mentioned, up to this point, it's kind of like almost been a blessing in a weird way, the fact that I haven't had to do that or put myself out of my comfort zone as such, because performing isn't necessarily something that would come natural to me, because I've never really done it before like that. But I think just it's not an insecurity, because it's like, well, you know, you can do it. It's just going out there and doing it really. And of course that'll come with like it's issues, or you know, certain things that you can iron out and get better at, but that just comes with practice and time. But a live show experience is definitely something that I want to put together, because I feel like we could really do something special, something that's just kind of off kilter, a little bit left, not necessarily something that you'd be used to seeing before. And I think that all kind of links back to the way that the videos are, the way that the artwork is, the visualizers, and all that stuff, that you know, establishing the brand. And I feel like it wouldn't just be a live performance experience, it'd be like a complete like cinematic kind of thing.
IMAX.
IMAX vibe, you get me? Not just a projector against the wall. It'd be something quite special. So I think it would take a lot of thinking time, and it would take quite a lot of manpower maybe to put it together as to what I'm envisioning. But yeah, it's what I want to do. I think the music will come across best if it was performed live with an experience, you know. So hopefully we can get that together once things are back up and running again somewhat. Definitely.
Sweet.
Definitely.
Thanks for joining me today. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And just to reconfirm, Virgo EP is out on the 9th of April, yeah?
Yeah, man. 9th of April, that's the one, bro. Thank you for having me, by the way, man. Really enjoyed it.
Same. And where can people find you if they want to go listen to your music or follow you?
Here on Spotify, H33RA, and then the same on Twitter and Instagram. I should come up. But it's H33RA. And 2 underscores. 2 underscores, guys. So
2 underscores.
2 underscores. That's me.